You're welcome back on Asembi Morning Show. Remember Asembi Morning Show, and don't forget to vote for Asembi Morning Show when you pick your phones and you have to dial that short code. Very, very important to win the Christian television program of the year. Pen TV is your #1 Christian program. We won the Praise Achievement Awards, Best Christian TV, and we will continue to serve you. This morning, I told you we have a very important interview, and we are fortunate, very, very fortunate to have Her Excellency, the Israeli ambassador to Ghana, with us here. Already, I'm loving what we've been talking about. Shlomit Sufa is the name, the Israeli ambassador to Ghana. Her Excellency Shlomit Sufa. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you, Daniel. Good morning. Good morning to all of yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
You know what, if to quote Mayor of New York, Eric Adams, a very good, strong speech that he gave, I think 2 or 3 days ago, he said, we are not all right. You know, supporting and sympathizing with the Jewish people, with Israelis, we are not all right.
I can understand.
Ever since October 7, we've been experiencing something that we have never, ever experienced in Israel before, where we have suffered the attack of thousands of terrorists coming from the Gaza Strip into Israel territory. Those terrorists are of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad and other terror groups in the Gaza Strip, and they have raided and attacked everything and everyone on their path. Any person that they could find, actually be them Jewish, Christian, Muslim, they killed everyone in that path. They attacked us in our homes, in our villages, very close to the Gaza Strip. Currently, the death toll is above 1,400 people, which is the largest number of Jews killed in one day ever since maybe the Holocaust. And on top of that, they burned and destroyed houses, villages. They have committed so many atrocities that it is really difficult to describe. And unfortunately, they were not only committing these crimes against humanity, raping women, young girls, mutilating, burning people alive, killing people in the hundreds and thousands, of course. On top of all these crimes against humanity, they were so proud of themselves, so they were taking footages of the people being killed as they were being killed and shared them on social media, sent them from the mobile phones of the victims to their parents, to their relatives, to inflict more horror and more pain. And at the end of this carnage, this unparalleled savagery. I can't even find the words to describe it. They kidnapped and now holding hostage more than 200 people from Israel that are starting from hold Hamas responsible for whatever happens to them.
Right. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, Pen TV GH. We're also streaming on the Church of Pentecost Facebook and YouTube platforms this morning, on DSTV channel 367, on GoTV channel 175, on the digital terrestrial television platform, and on satellite this morning. Feel free, if you have any questions, suggestions, you can send to our WhatsApp number 0507788464. Now, this is quite an overview you have given me, but for us who are not in Israel, who are not in Gaza, for us who have been watching the news, personally, I've had time for the past 1 week to be listening to reports from Al Jazeera, from BBC, from Sky, from ABC. Everyone has a different angle to what they are publishing. But those of us from this part of the world, a lot of us have heard that this looks to be like a religious war. It's against, it's between Christians and Muslims. It's between this group and that group. Now tell me, really, what is happening? Who is causing what?
Well, it's one way to describe actually one of the elements of the moral abyss between Israel and Hamas. Hamas is a terror organization. It is working in ISIS methods, ISIS basically ideology. It is an element of extreme Islam, and it is calling openly for the killing of every Jew person and for the destruction of the state of Israel. This they say openly, they do not try to hide it. Israel, on the other hand, is independent, democratic state. And we fight a war to defend our population, to defend our people. And we have not only the right to do so and to defend ourselves, we have an obligation as a state to defend our people. And one of the elements that separate us so strongly between us and Hamas and the PIJ, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, is that while we try to protect our civilians, they're trying to hurt as many civilians as possible, be it on the Israeli side. I mean, on top of everything that I've described before, they are also showering the southern part of Israel and many other parts of Israel, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem as well, with rockets. Ever since Saturday morning, October 7th, until now, we have experienced close to 7,000 rockets and missiles. 7,000 rockets and missiles. And basically we expect no country anywhere in the world to be able to take this without waging war on its enemy. No one can expect that. We are still dealing with the atrocities that Hamas inflicted on us, with the horrors. We're still in the process of identifying bodies that were mutilated or people that were burned alive. And now the bodies are beyond recognition. And to your question again, I think that Hamas is waging a religious war against the Jewish people at large, all over the world. Like last Friday, they called for their supporters and believers all over the world to try and hurt Jews all over the world. So it's not an issue about Israel as a political entity per se. And Israel, on the other hand, is fighting a war that is absolutely legitimate. It is is following the provisions of international law, and especially the laws of war, and trying to protect our civilians. And we have to take the war to Hamas territory and destroy Hamas completely. We've witnessed, all of us, through the last, say, 20 years.
Yeah. I was just talking about that because we've seen this happen before. What is so different now? And then as we talk, we'll be showing some images. We'll come also and look at human beings and how they are really, really being affected. But this has happened before. We've heard it. We've seen a lot of images. What is so different now?
I think it's important to understand that through the last couple of years, we've been trying all kinds of strategies vis-a-vis Hamas and vis-a-vis the Gaza Strip. And currently, up until October 7th, that we call it the Black Saturday, the Black Sabbath, up until that point, we were trying to help Gaza build its economy. So we were assisting the people in Gaza to develop, for example, offshore gas field, a project called Gas for Gaza that would have enabled Gaza to produce much more power and have much more electricity to whatever they need. Just one example out of many. So we were trying all kinds of strategies, and we thought that if we will help Gaza have better economy and the people living there better livelihood, this will lead to more calm, more stability. And we were sorely proven wrong on that morning of October 7th, where thousands of terrorists raided Israeli territory and proven that they care nothing about the interests of their own people. They rather have everybody killed than care for the livelihood and the well-being and the safety of the people living in Gaza, and they use them as human shields. And that's why, for example, where the military, the Israeli military, the IDF, is being very careful about the legitimacy of the targets that we try to strike in the Gaza Strip, and to call on the population to clear the area, to warn them in advance, so they will have time to clear and be in a safe place. Hamas is blocking the roads and preventing them from clearing from that area, which is the northern part of the Gaza Strip, and hence using them as human shields. And I think there's no better illustration to the morality or immorality of Hamas, and to how despicable this terror organization is. It is as if you speak of ISIS.
Your Excellency, I want us to establish this before now we look at the impact on lives, what this war is doing. Now, I've asked myself, so is it a war between Palestine and Israel, or it is Hamas and Israel? How do we draw that line so that when we're talking, we really know that we're talking about Hamas and not Palestine as a state, or it's the Palestine state with Hamas doing what is happening? Can we draw that line?
Absolutely. Our war is with Hamas, is not with the Palestinians, and we are set to destroy Hamas because the scale of the atrocities that were inflicted on Israel is unparalleled. We've never...
Let's appreciate the impact of what has been happening on lives. We have some videos we would want to show. Maybe you can speak to some of them. This is a footage from southern Israel. Help us understand. So this is what has been happening in Israel.
This is footage from one of the localities in southern Israel. After the attack of the terrorists, they've invaded homes, killed people in their beds, in their homes, in the shelters, killing babies in their cribs. I'm sorry, the footage is difficult to watch.
Exactly. Viewers would have to forgive us this morning, but this is just for us to see the gravity of what is happening. But again, would you say Israel was caught unawares this time around?
I think it's clear that we were surprised, absolutely. And many people in Ghana and all over the world basically ask, how come Israel was surprised? And this is a very, very good question. We have only started with finding out some of the answers. There will be a thorough investigation. But currently, we are not dealing with that.
Because there's a war at hand. You don't want to be blaming people now.
Because the entire country is mobilized. I think it's very difficult for people, and especially for people in Ghana that have enjoyed peace and stability for so many years. In a sense, in a way, I envy Ghanaians that it is really so difficult to understand the state of mind of every person in Israel. We are a small country and a small nation. We are around 9 million people in Israel. And I can honestly say that every person in Israel today is impacted by this terror attack. It took place in the southern part of the country, but because we're such a small nation, everybody either lost a friend, a relative, or knows a person who has lost a friend, a relative, an acquaintance, me included, but every person in Israel is impacted directly and is taking this personally. So we have recruited reserve forces to prepare for the war. Over 360,000 people have been recruited, and the civil society in Israel, it has been totally mobilized to support the effort, the military effort. So you have volunteers assisting either military to get ready for war or assisting the localities that have been affected. We had to clear tens of thousands of people from the southern part of Israel because their homes have been destroyed. They cannot live anymore. They are totally traumatized, the survivors.
I wanted to ask how safe it is now to be in Israel.
Well, basically, it depends on your position, right?
Okay.
On where you are. It is more dangerous in the southern part because it is closer to the Gaza Strip,
Right.
and safer when you are more remote. But the entire country is being threatened. My home in Israel is in the center part of Israel, but very close to the airport, the international airport.
Okay.
Now, international airport, Hamas has been trying to target it many times. So my home is being targeted because it is so close to the airport. And on that Black Saturday, I happened to be in Israel, and I was at home, and I had to find refuge in my shelter a good number of times because there were sirens and missiles over my hometown in the center part of Israel. So it's a very difficult situation. There is also a second front that we fear we will face in the northern part of Israel, which is bordering with Lebanon. And in the southern part of Lebanon, you have another terror organization, Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Is a very, very strong terror organization, and their arsenal is over 150,000 rockets and missiles. By the way, this is more than regular militaries would have. And they're all aimed at Israel, and they cover the entire range of the territory of Israel. And they have been already trying to fire some missiles. They've been trying to launch terror attacks on Israel. We're being extremely alert.
Okay.
We have cleared people from from localities close to the border. And we do not want the things to escalate, but if we will have to fight Hezbollah as well, we will. And it's not a coincidence, because the power that is supporting financially and with the weapons and with the guidance these two terror organizations is Iran.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought in that, because I actually wanted to ask you what Israel's view or position is on these regional blocs or regional players who are supporting Hamas, like Iran you have mentioned, and we've seen a number of other nations who have come out to actually say from the Arab world that they support what Hamas is doing. They are ready to support them and all that. What is Israel's position on it? A layman will ask, are you not afraid that all these nations are rallying support on that bloc?
Well, first of all, we are in conflict with Iran for a very long time. Iran is set to destroy Israel. Israel, on the other hand, have no desire to destroy Iran whatsoever. So Iran is operating by proxy organizations around Israel, be it in the north or the south. And yes, Hamas is receiving support from other countries or elements in the region. I think it all points to short-sightedness, because the threat of extreme Islam is a threat on all the international community, on all peace-loving nations, such as, if you take, for example, ISIS. No one tried to appease ISIS or to find a way to de-escalate with ISIS. Everybody understood that ISIS is a threat to everybody. The same goes for Hamas and extreme Islam. And I would say this: we have been receiving a lot of support from international community. We've seen many world-renowned leaders, such as, of course,
the
U.S. President.
Just this morning.
Yesterday, that was 2 days ago, on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we had the Prime Minister of Britain. Before that, we had the Chancellor of Germany visiting. Amidst everything that is taking place in Israel, they saw a very significant timing to come to Israel and show and demonstrate their support. And it is highly appreciated. And we've received a lot of support from many other countries, Ghana included, which we are grateful to.
Okay.
And I think it's important to understand that Israel fights a fight that is for the benefit of all peace-loving nations, that you will have many players sitting on the sidelines of this theater between, the war theater between Israel and Hamas, watching and learning how the international community will react. And this will have implications on terror in United States, in Europe, in Asia, in the Sahel, and the countries in Africa that are threatened by extreme Islam, such as the countries at the Guinea Gulf. So these have implications, and this is why we appreciate and expect continuous support by the international community.
I'm happy you've brought in that level of support. Now, what role really can international religious organizations play in this, especially because of the significance Jerusalem has in Israel? And a lot of us want to visit Israel to see some of these religious sites and things mentioned in the Bible and all that, and this is happening. What role can religious organizations play? Let's start from there.
I wish they would have a role to play, because many international religious organizations have been known to be able to bridge, to negotiate, to connect sides, two different sides to a conflict. Here, I doubt that there's going to be any place for any international organization. We are dealing with an entity that relishes, that is bragging on the rape of women, on the mutilation and decapitating of babies. We are dealing with an entity that is beyond reasoning. It's beyond...
So there's no room for dialogue at all?
There's no room for dialogue. We've tried everything, and there's no room for dialogue. This is an entity that will stop at no one and nowhere to continue and inflicting terror, and they want to achieve their goals. We will not let them.
Let's look at humanitarian aid, especially in Gaza. What's the position of Israel on it? I'm asking this because counter strikes that Israel has made to Gaza, there's been criticisms, especially from the Arab world, that Israel did not really have those humanitarian factors in mind. You didn't care about children, about women and all that. What is Israel's position when it comes to humanitarian aid, especially in Gaza?
So we, as I said before, we are trying to make sure that we will not harm civilians. Sometimes, unfortunately, it is inevitable, but this is not our goal. And we are very careful to abide to international laws. We allow humanitarian support to enter the Gaza Strip from the border and the crossing from Egypt. And we are calling on the population to shift to a place that is safer. But at the end of the day, if we agree that Israel's right and obligation is to protect its own people, then we have to understand that Israel will take the war and is taking the war to Gaza, to Hamas facilities, posts, arsenal caches, what have you. And this, sometimes the hurt, that the harm and that civilians take is because Hamas is hiding within their own population. Again, using them as human shields in a very cynical, cruel way, up to a point where Hamas representatives from the Ministry of Health of Gaza, they came to UN hospital, the UNRWA hospital in the Gaza Strip a couple of days ago, and they steal gas and medical supplies, the fuel and medical supplies from the hospital to their own needs. So they not only used their own population as human shield, but they deprived them of medical care. How more cruel can you get? The moral abyss between the Hamas and the countries that have a moral compass, Ghana, Israel, the West, is unbridgeable.
Help me understand the level of cooperation you have enjoyed from Ghana and maybe some religious organizations during this period, right from October 7th till now. I don't know if you can, let's focus on in Ghana, for instance, the nation Ghana. What kind of level of cooperation have you enjoyed? I've seen on your Facebook page a number of churches, praying to support the people of Israel and all that. Maybe just share a few lines with that.
We have been experiencing a huge amount of support, love, sympathy. People are writing us, heads of churches, people from all walks of life in Ghana. And of course, many people come, religious people. They pray for Israel. They support Israel. And they have special prayers in churches for Israel, as you mentioned. And we highly, highly appreciate that. That is something that we cherish, that we need. And we appreciate people in Ghana that pray for Israel. By the way, we have received support also from Muslim people that say to me, this kind of extremism, this kind of brutality, this is not Islam. Islam is a religion of peace, of tolerance, and this, they say, is not Islam. So I'm not here to talk about the nature of Islam, but I'm just quoting friends from Islamic community that spoke with me.
Who are against that. This then brings me to this question. The Palestinian Authority itself, is there any level of work you are doing to help deal with this matter?
Yes, we have continuous cooperation in different levels, between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. There are Hamas terror cells at the territory of the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. And the Israeli military is working very hard to fight and destroy these terror cells. And this works also for the benefit of the Palestinian Authority, because Hamas is not about being representative of the Palestinian interests, unlike what it would like to present itself. The Palestinians benefit nothing from Hamas, because it is only causing death and destruction and does not promote the Palestinian cause or Palestinians one iota further on their way to having an independent state or on the way to peace.
We're seeing a lot of diplomatic efforts now. U.S. President, Prime Minister of Britain, UK. We've seen a lot of other nations and all that, all working, the UN working. Can we achieve something from these diplomatic efforts? Do you see that happening?
Well, our stand is that we need to win this war once and for all. We need to win this war, and this war will take time. So our request and expectation... Sorry?
It's not going to end soon?
I'm afraid it's not going to end soon. Because whatever you see that is built in the Gaza Strip or has been targeted already, this is just the surface.
Okay.
You have to think of Gaza Strip as a metro city. There are dozens, if not hundreds of kilometers of tunnels underneath the city. Hamas built them for years. By the way, if you think about it, you stop to think about it, the cost of the materials that have been used to build these tunnels, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more. Just imagine what would happen if Hamas would have taken that money and used it for the benefit of the population, of its own people.
Yeah.
But they haven't. They have used it to dig these tunnels. They use them to transfer whatever they need underground to be protected from Israeli strikes. They use them also as attack tunnels against Israel. They have been trying to dig tunnels that will lead them inside Israeli territory. So when they come up from the tunnel, come out, then they will be able to attack villages and people in the territory of Israel, you know, bypassing the border fence.
Yeah.
So we are working very hard to make sure that we would discover all these tunnels and block them. But finding and destroying all these tunnels, it will take time. It's not going to be a short military operation. It's war. It's a different scale altogether. And what we need and request and expect the international community is to allow us and enable us to go further with this war until we have achieved our goals.
So I'm asking myself, is it not possible for us to have this two-state coexist in peace? Is it not ever possible? What's Israel's stand on it?
Our stand is that we want to achieve peace with the Palestinians and eventually have a two-state solution. 2 states for 2 nations. But Hamas is not part of this equation. Hamas is not, as I said, is not promoting Palestinians, is not bringing them any closer to peace or to having a long-term settlement agreement, peace agreement with Israel. Our work on engaging with the Palestinians is done with the Palestinian Authority. But currently we are focusing just on this challenge, this effort vis-a-vis Hamas. It is not time to talk about peace, because there's no peace with an entity that is set out determined to kill you. Hamas is not about establishing, building a state. It's about destroying a state, the state of Israel.
What can we all do? I'm here, I'm a TV anchor for a Christian television channel. What can we all do to ensure that we have peace in the world and to ensure that whatever is happening in Israel is dealt with, it's solved, and God is happy?
I think that's a beautiful question. It's not easy to answer. I think that if we would have had the right path, the clear path to peace, I think we would have taken it a long time ago. Some processes take time and need patience. They need patience, and I'll give you an example.
Right.
And it also explains why I'm, despite everything, despite being personally in a state of grieving and anger of what happened in Israel 2 weeks ago, despite everything, I'm optimistic. And I'll give you an example. In the 50s and the 60s, Israel was surrounded by enemies all over. Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt were the main ones. They were the countries at our borders. And we had a couple of wars with these enemies. Egypt was the strongest enemy of all. And there was a lot of concern and fear even between Israelis looking at Egypt. Egypt was very strong. So if you would tell an Israeli in the 50s or even the 60s that one day will come where Egypt will be the first country to reach out to Israel and have a peace accord with Israel, people will say, no way, this is possible.
Yeah.
This is, you imagine things, this will never happen. And sure enough, 1979, Israel and Egypt signed a peace accord, and it has been strong and solid ever since. So this always gives me hope and a place for optimism, despite everything, despite the pain and the sorrow and the agony that we have so much of. Despite everything, I'm hopeful that we will reach peace one day.
We are all hopeful that we'll reach peace one day. Well, this is your camera. Ghanaians are watching you this morning, Ghanaians all around the world. As the ambassador, what message do you have for them?
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Welcome.
My message is that, sorry, I get a bit emotional.
Yes.
My message is that we appreciate and we cherish the support that we have been receiving from the government of Ghana, from people of Ghana, and we hope and pray that this love and support will continue and that Ghana will stand side by side with Israel through all our efforts until we are victorious, until we are able to destroy this threat of extreme Islam that is threatening Israel and so many other parts of the world.
So there's someone who said, looks like the discussion I'm having with you, you are releasing your military plan, what you intend to do. But, I mean, this is for us to understand the situation, really. I'm sure that the Israeli government and the military, they have their own plans and strategy and what is going to happen. But the people of Israel are also watching you. There are some who are also in Ghana anyway. You want to speak to them as well?
Well, to the Israeli community that has been amazing in not just supporting the embassy, but doing everything in their power to send the love and support back to Israel. You have to understand that Israelis from all over the world, they are struggling to find the shortest way to come back to Israel. Israel is at war, and Israelis from all over the world, they are struggling to find the closest and the earliest time flight to get to Israel. So we want to appreciate the Israeli community here in Ghana that is doing so much to support Israel from afar.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for honoring our invitation today. I don't know if you have any last words before we wrap up. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's Her Excellency, the Israeli ambassador to Ghana, Her Excellency Shlomit Sufa. She's been telling us all about Israel, what is happening in the Gaza. I've seen a couple of your messages. Because of our short time, we didn't read some of them out. But obviously, we are all concerned about what is happening in Israel. If you are in Ghana, you are praying, be praying for peace in Israel. But Israel is at war. And we can all do what we can do is to rally support. We're also praying for the people of Palestine, especially those who are not really in this war. And we pray that at the end of the day, what God has set that it should happen will happen. My name is Kwabena Mante. Thank you for joining us on Asembi Morning Show. Yeah, we'll be following keenly what is happening in Israel and also what is happening at the embassy. And then we pray the Lord will be with you. Thank you so much. Well, we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, it's sports updates and then the main discussion with JB Dankwa. This is Asembi Morning Show on Pen TV. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.